just this year, just actually like 2.5 months ago, probably, like it really just came together for me to start a center, and it's a movement too. I mean, it'll take a while before we have a physical center. The idea is to actually eventually build an actual center. It's going to be called Awaken, Center for Human Evolution. And the idea behind the center, I'll talk a little bit about that. The idea behind the center is to just create a place, a physical space where like-minded people can gather, and just also people that are ready to step out or even just curious about learning more can come and learn more about spirituality, and just about being human, really. That's why it ended up becoming Center for Human Evolution, because for me, a lot of where we need to go and where we need to be is about just learning to be human and just expressing ourselves and just being honest with ourselves and being true to ourselves and with each other, and really being in touch with our emotions and being unafraid to voice our true emotions and our true selves. And the funny thing is, I mean, you know, I've been on a spiritual path for about like 8 years now, and in and out of a lot of different things, and had some interesting experiences. And there's a lot of that going around. And spirituality, I mean, there's a lot of kind of different connotations that go along with that. And you know, I mean, I've met some people that are very religious and also consider themselves very spiritual. I consider myself very spiritual and not very religious, you know, and it goes hand in hand. But at the end of the day, even being spiritual is still a label, you know, and all these concepts that we have, you know, with like New Age and holistic and all that kind of stuff, I mean, they're still just labels and concepts, and even that will eventually change. So at the core of everything is really just us honoring ourselves and honoring our truth and learning to open up to our own gifts, our own intuition, and just really being nice to each other and being nice to ourselves too. And it starts with really just being honest and really honoring your feelings. And a lot of that is what's going to be taught and shown through Awaken. And it's mind, body, and spirit. We also want to delve into just keeping better care of our physical vessels and our physical bodies, because, you know, there's so many people that you know, my father passed away about 2 years ago now, and he had a massive heart attack and struggled for like another like 2 years or something like that before he finally passed away. And it's really not necessary. Like we have every single means we need to take care of our bodies and be healthy. And everything, whether it's body, mind, or spirit, is always simpler than what we really think it is. You know, fruits and vegetables, like that's really all we have to eat to be healthy and survive and, and beat most diseases. But you got to eat enough of it, you know. You know, again, like emotional. I mean, we're emotional beings, you know, and all the issues that we have and things like, you know, I mean, everybody keeps mentioning it because it's so recent, you know, this shooting, and it's not the first time. I mean, these things have been popping up a lot, but these kids that just, you know, crack and they're killing other kids and adults and all this kind of stuff, and these massacres that are happening. There was the thing that happened around the Batman movie that came out. At the core of it, I really believe that these are just people that are misunderstood and feel alone and just aren't raised being able to really express themselves and be heard. And I really believe that that's the core of a lot of these things that are happening. And that if we can help address that kind of stuff, it'll change the world and change all of us and change the way we interact with each other. A lot of what I want Awaken to be is also centered around kids and helping kids, and specifically gifted kids that are coming into intuition and kind of confused about it and not sure what to do about it. But, I mean, just anyone. I mean, we're all just human beings. That's the bottom line is, you know, I definitely want there to be meditation rooms and things like that. And there'll be, you know, people that practice Reiki and healing and all these kind of newer age arts. But it's also still about just learning to communicate and learning to find peace with yourself and learning to communicate with another person. You know, I mean, like there'll be classes that are as simple as just communicating and working through an argument with somebody, you know, because that's where all this, you know, we have anger that we don't necessarily know how to deal with. We're raised and we go to school, like, you know, for how many years, and we learn math and science and English and poetry and have to read all these books, and like half the stuff, like I know we don't care about. I don't care. I know most of you don't care about it. You know, we're made to read these things, and it does help us. But where's just learning to be human? Like, where's just learning to be in touch with your feelings and talk about your emotions and how to relate to other people? Why aren't these things taught? Like, I mean, it's always baffled me. So part of what I'm going to talk about, this all relates to with my journey. But this is the heart of Awaken. And so right now, it's just forming. It's going to be a nonprofit, and that's a big part of it. I want to try to do as many free events or donation-based events as I can. I want any things for kids to be free. So, there's the legal aspect of actually forming the nonprofit, which is happening behind the scenes, and I'm going to get some people to do some grant writing for me and things like that, and eventually we'll actually have a physical center. But everything's just baby steps and one step at a time. So the first thing I needed to do was actually just do something. So that's what today is. I mean, it was the idea of just getting the idea out there. I mean, right now, Awaken, the Awaken Center is right here. It's my center. It's my heart. And I'm sharing that with all of you and putting it into your hearts and putting it into your consciousness. And we're all going to help that grow and become whatever it's going to be. And wherever it's going to be, but I'm assuming it's going to be in this area. So just one step at a time, and I'm going to be doing more events and putting classes together and things like that. And you guys will be on my list, and I'll keep you in touch with what's going on. But that's how anything big starts, just small. You just start somewhere, And even today, I was even resistant from doing today because I was starting to get ideas of doing some classes and things and doing some meetup groups, and I'm like, all right, I'll get to it like next year, Not that next year's that far away, but still, it's just next year. And a very close friend of mine, Shay, said, why don't you set a goal, do something this year? This is only like 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, it's, Christmas is coming up. I got it's not going to happen that quick. And she's like, it's all excuses. And she was right. It is all just excuses. That's it. At the end of the day, if you really want to do something, you can find a way. And for me, and I know some people were asking me how this kind of came together and so quickly. For me, when I'm really in alignment and just I would say a clear head, but it's almost more of just getting out of my head rather than even just clearing it. But just really stepping out and being my true self and honoring what I'm really on this planet to do, things just line up and fall into place. People were asking how I have Stephen Writing coming in Cheryl Blumenthal. Well, first of all, I asked. And that's the thing is not being afraid. So many people are just afraid to even just ask. And it's sometimes that simple, and you might get a no. And that's okay too. I mean, everything has its place, but that's how sort of for me was just, and I was also just listening to my intuition as to who I should ask and invite. And there were a lot of steps that led along the way. I mean, I talked to some people and they said, oh, well, talk to her. And other people came up to me and it all just formed together beautifully. And this is a great turnout. And I know there's more people coming later on in the day. And, we'll have some other musicians coming in and stuff. So we'll add to the musical component of things. So that's how this all formed. And that's what this is basically all about. And then the fact that it's today, the 22nd, that idea was, so Shay, when she had mentioned like me doing something for the end of the year, she's like, why don't you do something on the 21st? And I'm like, no way, because there's too many other things going on. And I was just like, yeah, I'll think about it, sure, something by the end of this year, 21st, okay, I'll talk to you later. And as soon as I hung up the phone, it was loud and clear, do something on the 22nd. And it's a Saturday, you have all day, you're not trying to squeeze something in on a Friday, you're not trying to compete. And then it also became very clear that, the whole end of the Mayan calendar and the end of this great cycle, that we've been in, ended Friday, and that's the transition day, Friday. So today's really the beginning of the new world. And there's a whole thing that Barbara Marx Hubbard and the Shift Network was doing today. They actually called it Birth 2012, but they actually didn't have anything, at least posted on their website about today. I think there might have been some things going on. But anyway, so today just really felt right. And it was just a perfect day to start and place to step out. So that's how this all came together and how I ended up being here, talking to you. So that's all that. So I'll go a little more into, so what I want to talk about is, I titled my talk, Stepping into the Light. And there was another part of it that was something about, speaking your truth in the new age. So Awaken the World Celebration with being today and the 22nd and the new age that we're coming into, for me, what this all represents is the Mayans had predicted, I don't know how many thousands of years they were around, and they had all these predictions and they had this calendar that lasted up until yesterday. So now what? All of a sudden there's this void. But for me, that void means it's now our turn to decide what's next. Nothing's predetermined anymore. There's nothing set for us. It's all just up to us. So we're the ones that get to step out now. And especially this group. I mean, you're here for a reason. I'm talking to you guys for a reason. And on one hand, it's a little bit of preaching to the choir, but on the other hand, I think it's really important for me to talk to and address other spiritual people because of what I've been going through. For the past 8 years, I've been on my spiritual path. and it certainly hasn't been easy. And all this, that I'm getting into now, and the Awaken thing and all that. I mean, this is just really the last year out of the last 8 years that things have really started coming together for me and making sense. It has been a struggle, and in a lot of different ways. And for me, I started becoming more spiritual on this path, and what does that actually mean? And learning to meditate and learning more about New Age stuff and holistic stuff and crystals and angels and star beings, and there's just so much out there, But at the core of it was, like this was all not only new to me, but like all my friends and my family, and they just didn't understand. And the other issue was I didn't even know how to explain it. So there was a lot of conflict and hurt feelings and just misunderstandings, like even just between my family. And this was the time that my dad, was going through his heart problems and stuff. And it was really hard. It was just really hard trying to explain him, get him to understand the changes I was trying to go through and trying to make for myself. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot of courage to really step out and listen to your heart and know that you're right, even if the entire rest of the world behind you is telling you that you're wrong, because they're living in the past. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. The world is made up. We're on this timeline, and all we know is what's happened before. And so, it's easy to compare. It's easy to pull that past up and say, oh, well, this is what happened, or this is what worked, or this is what didn't work. And especially when it comes to this is what won't work. And there's also just judgment. So people don't understand things. I think there's an automatic doubt that they think it's not going to work, and it's not going to happen. Like, and even like today, like, some of the people that I talked about, they're like, oh, why don't you move it till next year? Like, because it's Christmas weekend and all this kind of stuff, and people can't make it. And again, it came down to why wait? Yeah, I could wait. I could try to get a bigger venue and try to, have more time to advertise it and get more people there and all that kind of stuff. And I can do that in 3 months from now. And that'd be great. It would be a great event. But why wait? That was the message, as clear as anything, is if I can do it now, it's time to do it now, because it's the present moment. We're always waiting for something else. We're always waiting for someone else to support us and someone else to back us up and our friends to join us and there to be the right everything to come together and make things perfect. And it's wonderful when it does happen that way, but sometimes we're the ones that have to put our first foot forward in order for things to come together. So I plan on doing plenty more events, and I plan on doing something big in the spring, but it was important to do something now, and really for me too. I mean, this is a gift for all of you too. It's a donation event with the idea that any money collected today, whether it's what you're donating, any of the things you're buying, if you get the mugs and stuff, it all goes towards the center. None of the speakers got paid for being here. None of the speakers that are coming are getting paid. They're giving their time freely. And the people that are playing, the musicians, they're giving their time freely. Everyone is just here to be a part of it and to help support the idea and the heart of what we're doing, what we're stepping into, in this new age. So, and that's a lot of the energy that's into it, is people just opening up and giving and wanting to get to this better world, this better place, because it's possible, it's achievable. We just need to do it. We just need to come together. So, and it's very clear that my role in a lot of all this now is helping to facilitate that, and being the one to step up. Because for 8 years I've been in the shadows and been behind the scenes and just watching everybody else, And part of the message of this new age is, it's time to step into our own power, and really do what we need to do. And it's just a matter of timing. And it's a little bit of both. I mean, there's encouragement, like I had encouragement to do today, and if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be here standing here talking to you. So there's always good to have encouragement and support, but at the end of the day, we really need to choose and be brave enough to just say, you know what, I'm going to try something. I'm just going to step out there and do it, and to not be attached to the outcome. I mean, there was only a couple people when we first started, and I started having all these feelings of like, oh, like, today's going to be a bomb, like nobody's coming, like all these people that said they're going to show up aren't going to show up. And one of the things, we'll go off on a quick little side note, one of the things that I'm doing for myself that's been very apparent lately is just, I started watching myself and my feelings and my words and actions and especially my emotions, because that's really the key, is the emotions are the key to everything, and it's easy when we're happy to be in our emotions and share those emotions. It's when we're uncomfortable and when we're worried and we're scared. Those are the emotions that we don't even want to recognize. We don't even want to acknowledge in ourselves, let alone share them with other people, But, I mean, even just putting this together, there's a little bit of nervousness at first, and then I realized that it would just be a great thing, and I was really excited about it. And then this morning I woke up, And I was like really kind of nervous and scared, you know. And like all week I had been like so excited, and all of a sudden this morning I'm like oh, like what happened? Like this is the day, and all of a sudden like you know I don't know if I can pull this off or if I'm gonna you know be a good speaker and all this kind of stuff. So and I just I acknowledged them, and it's like okay, this is perfectly natural, and you hear all the time. You know, even today, like these big speakers, like they still get a little nervous before they go on stage and say little prayers, and they have their little things, and they get out there and they're fine, you know. But it's okay that these feelings come up for us, you know, and it's okay that we might feel a little scared, you know, or a little unsure and all that kind of stuff, you know, and that's just part of it, and it's acknowledging it that's the most important thing, because if you don't acknowledge it, you can't work through it, you know, and that's just really important. I'll say it again: if you don't acknowledge it, you can't work through it. So whatever is coming up, just look at it, step back, you know, and that's been my process the past couple of years is whatever kind of feelings I have, try to step back, try to disassociate myself from it, because it's not whatever's happening on the surface. Like if there's something specifically between me and one other person, you know, it's so easy just to be like, yeah, it's his fault or her fault, and you know, she makes me angry, and like these stupid little things that she does and whatever, or he does, or he wasn't there, you know, and so there's plenty of excuses and reasons we can say that we're angry. But at the end of the day, it's our emotion. Like if we're angry, it's our anger. You know, if we're upset, it's our upset. If we're scared, it's our fear. And it starts with acknowledging that and talking through it. You know, and again, I mean, there'll be more. Like I hope that you know some of the classes and stuff I start putting out next year. These are some of the things I'm going to address. You know, is as simple as just emotions. You know, and dealing with emotions, talking through emotions, working with your emotions. But for me, a lot of that is what helped lead to like opening up my spirituality and stepping out, is just honoring my feelings, acknowledging them, and just learning to feel more and more learning to tune into other people and their feelings as well, you know, not just my own. So it's just a little bit of everything altogether. So that's kind of what led me to where I am. So I mean, like, you know, 8 years ago, I started meditating and then started reading books and, you know, things like Conversations with God and all like by Neil Donald Walsh and all these other kind of books, and it just really opened me up. And I'm jumping back to where I left off. I get on some great tangents. So, you know, there was all this tension going on with me getting into the spiritual life and with my family and my friends, and I joined this. They called themselves Christian mystics, you know, and I had been baptized into their little group, you know, which was kind of cultish. But I knew I was safe there. Like I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew I was going to let myself get too deep. But of course, like my family was freaking out, you know. My dad thought he needed to have an intervention and all this kind of stuff, you know. Like, and they thought they were going to take all my money, and I mean, it was tithing. It was 10%, and it was very clear that it was 10%, you know. And I kept trying to say that to my dad, you know. I'm like, it's 10%. They're not going to take all my money. I'm giving 10%. But he still had it in his head that it's a cult. They're going to take all my money, you know, or they're somehow going to talk me into emptying out my bank account. And it really was silly, but it's like, I mean, these are the things that we come up against, and it's tough. But one of the things that I learned right away is that, and you've heard various terms of like what we resist, persist, things like that. You know, for me, my dad didn't really understand, my parents didn't really understand, but I wasn't necessarily doing everything I could to help them. Like I was just kind of like adding fuel to the fire, or just like pretending like they couldn't understand, you know. And as I got deeper and deeper into my spirituality, and even like these days, what I learned is my friends and the people that are out there are much more open to things than I realized, and probably much of us realize, because it's easy to say, oh, well, I'm spiritual now, they don't understand, and well, they don't listen to their intuition, and they don't listen to their guides, or they don't understand angel communication or crystals and all this kind of stuff. And it's easy to say they don't get it and they don't understand, so we can't have a conversation about it. And I've been in this place so many times where I almost feel like I can't even talk to regular people anymore, you know. And it's like I was part of this group, this singles group, for a while. We would do like dinners and happy hours and things like that, and they were all great people. They were really good people. And we'd be at a dinner, and I'd be sitting there, and they'd be talking about like sports and the weather, or like reality shows, and like, you know, I would just there roll my eyes and be like, why the hell am I sitting here like with these people? Like I don't have anything in common with these people. But it's not really true, because they're human beings. So there's a lot that I have in common with all these people. There's a lot that we all have in common with these people. And the key is that, and this goes into this new energy and this new world that we're stepping into, you know. So the people here, I mean, we're more aware, we're more conscious. So I'm putting it out there for myself, I'm putting it out there for you, and I don't want to say something you have to do, because we all get to wherever we're going when we're ready to get there. Sometimes there's a little extra push, but it's our own pace. But for me, it's about stepping up and opening the door. And this is something. I mean, I haven't perfected this yet. I mean, I'm just starting to practice this. But what I've noticed is, so I'm at a table with a bunch of people, and they're talking about their reality shows, and or complaining about politics and Obama and whatever it is. And I really don't want any part of it. But I start getting this feeling that I just want to run away, and I'm like, I want to be with like my spiritual friends, and I have a lot more spiritual friends, and it's beautiful that I have that support group. But I also realize that I don't ever step up and say like, hey, like, do you guys believe in past lives? Like what is God to you? Like how do you see him, or how does he show up for you? Or do you believe in angels? And something like angels is a pretty simple thing, because Jewish and Catholic and all kinds of Christianity and lots of people believe in angels. So even just bringing up angels and guardian angels and that kind of conversation, I mean, that's a pretty safe conversation to have. And what I found too is even things like past lives, even if people don't believe in it, they're curious about it. A lot of people that I talk to are very curious about all this kind of stuff, and like intuition and psychics and mediums and these are. And if you pay attention, whatever is coming up in our consciousness as a society is reflected in like TV shows and movies and things like that. So I mean, look, shows like Medium and Ghost Whisperer, all these things. I mean, these are not just shows on TV, but they're very popular shows. They're very big shows. And I keep hearing about Long Island Medium, and everyone keeps telling me to tune in and watch it. That it's a great show, and I will. but it's just but it's just a reflection. So all this stuff is coming up more and more in our consciousness, but it's up to us, the people that are more conscious and that are leading the pack, so to speak. There's a lot of fear in us too, and I know it because I'm part of that. There's a lot of fear in me stepping up, and I know a lot of other spiritual people that are my friends. Like they're kind of afraid to speak up and to really step out. And again, there's a lot of fear of like ridicule and criticism and being misunderstood and being, an outcast and being told that, like you're full of shit and you don't know what you're talking about or you're crazy, And we all know the crazy because we always tell ourselves that we're crazy. That's a whole other subject too. Is just learning to let ourselves be crazy, But so that's the thing. So with like other people, my friends and stuff, like something like beautiful happened just because I finally like allowed it. I was at my friends. These are like my older friends, not like age-wise, but I mean like, from high school and things like that. And normally we don't talk about this kind of stuff. I save it for my spiritual friends. Mm-hmm. And someone else actually brought up past lives. I don't even know how it happened or where it came from, but all of a sudden we were in this like, discussion about past lives. And but my one friend didn't believe in it because, he's very Catholic and believes you just go straight to heaven, and you have your one life kind of thing. And that's fine. Someone else was kind of on the fence about it. They're like, well, maybe it's a possibility. I don't really know. Someone else was all for it. Of course I'm all for it. I'm totally a believer in past lives and reincarnation and the fact that we're here to learn. And each time around, we're growing and we're evolving and we're becoming something more, becoming closer to God or love or whatever you want to call it. But it was just interesting that all of a sudden we were in this conversation about past lives with people I would have never expected to have a conversation with people that I would have never probably even brought it up with myself. And it was such a beautiful conversation because everyone was just very respectful of everyone else's opinions. And I just, I think just because I grew up like in so much criticism, between like, you're criticized by your family or your friends, or especially like you go to school and, growing up in high school and all that stuff, there's just so much criticism on us. To step into something new, there's really a lot of fear around that, And for me, so what I've been learning, lately and really finally getting is that I just need to get rid of my fear, and putting it on other people is just an excuse, like if I'm afraid to be criticized, that's something I need to work on, and what I found was that now, 8 years later, I'm finally ready to just step out and really like live fully and live like the being that I know I really am and live my spiritual life fully and not be afraid of it, not be afraid of what other people think of it. And my words are very important too, because what I learned is that if I can convey an idea or an expression or a belief, more importantly, if I can convey that with love and without judging other people based on my belief, that it's received. and it's heard, and there can be a very beautiful conversation around it. You know, so and the other thing that I also realize along that same lines is if I say something that doesn't come out so well, and people that know me, especially people that have known me for a while, know that I am awesome at saying wrong things at wrong times and insulting people and hurting people's feelings. You know, I'm just because things just pop out, they just slide right out, and I'm sure there's also a higher purpose to that because they we all have our own lessons. So I'm probably helping them. I like to believe I'm helping them learn something. If I say something that triggers them, but what I've been doing lately is, just paying attention to that and being more in tune and conscious of the people in the world around me. And if I say something or does something that triggers another person or hurts their feelings, I want to know why and I want to correct that. And it's not about that. It's not about me being sorry for what I said, but it's about understanding why they were triggered by how I said it. Because again, if they're triggered, it's something in them. If it probably it can even be a specific word. And words have different meanings. There's 20 different words to say the same thing. There's so many different ways to say the same exact thing, but very specific words will trigger certain people. So sometimes it's their trigger, like they needed to hear that for some reason, and it sets them off. But it's very important to me that there's an understanding, of why that happened, and that they understand my intent. And that's a lot of where the miscommunication comes in for me when I say something that hurts somebody else's feelings. It's certainly never intended. I mean, anyone that knows me knows I'm a very good-hearted person and always have good intentions. But sometimes I just say something that people take the wrong way, So I just tune in. I tune in to other people and how they're feeling and what they're feeling and how they're living. So that's been a big part of my journey, And you're looking at where I've gotten to. This is the first really public speaking I've done.
All right. Okay.
Not bad, right?
You're on a roll.
That's pretty good. The only other talking I've done is I was in some networking groups. My day job, which hopefully will be a thing of the past pretty soon. My day job is graphic design, website design, and I freelance. And so other than having to pitch myself, I was in a networking group. We had to give maybe a little 7-minute talk about what we do. That's really the only talking I've done, in the past. And it was a little easier, too, because it's about my work, and I know my work. It's what I do for a living, So this is me stepping out. You guys all get to see it. I mean, this is the birth.
Good job.
Thanks. This is the birth. So, and it's been leading up. And again, like I said, because I've been hiding in the shadows for a long time. And, when I said I was talking today, and it was the same thing that was in my mind, like one of my friends was like, well, it took so long, because I've been journaling a lot and writing a lot of stuff down. I even started like a personal website for myself where I put down my little thoughts and stuff. At some point I think I was even emailing them out, things like that. There's been a lot of things that have kind of come along the way, but and I have ways of sharing them. And sometimes on Facebook I'll just throw out a little tidbit or something that kind of comes to mind. But I wasn't really living who I wanted to be, and it was an interesting thing because it's becoming more and more clear why I'm on this planet and what I'm meant to do and who I really am. And I'm really great at seeing the future, and seeing where we can all be and where we can all go. And one of my big things is world peace. And a while ago, I started actually asking around, and I mean, this is a little bit of a different group, but if for the masses, just my regular friends, I started asking them, about world peace. I would say 99% of the people I ask do not believe in world peace, do not believe it's possible, and forget about even this lifetime. I mean, it was well, yeah, it's great. I would love there to be world peace, but it's not realistic, or maybe it'll happen in another 1,000 years, but there's no way we're even going to come close this time around, And I say bullshit. So, but we need to be the ones to do it. We need to be the ones to step up and to start promoting peace and love and understanding. And one of the things too, and this has been something I've struggled with because my brother, and I'll probably throw him up a little later too. He's not really into all the spiritual kind of stuff, and he's one of the people that thinks I'm a little crazy and all that kind of stuff. But he's supportive of me just doing something and being good at it. So if I can be successful with that, then he's happy for me. He just wants me to see me do something because I keep coming up with all these different ideas and I'm all over the place and I'm not really following through. It's I'm only doing things half-assed because I'm I don't know if I'm afraid to succeed, or I'm afraid of my own power. I mean, there's a lot of these concepts that come up for a lot of us. But I've started a lot of things and not finished them. But the interesting thing is, it's also just having some patience and timing. Because for me, with Awaken, everything is going to come together, and it's just all making sense already. I've started writing all these books. I probably have like 5 of them. There's one that I'm pretty close to finishing. It's called Angel, and it's a fictional novel, and it's about a struggling family, and they realize they have a guardian angel, and they start seeing signs and feathers, and there's a woman at work that does a meditation, so there's actually like a meditation in the book, and things like that. So that's all in the book, and it's part of like me getting like this new consciousness out there, but I don't know when the heck the book's actually going to be published. I mean, it's pretty much done, but it needs some professional work, and I want it to be really good. I mean, we've all seen movies that are like kind of crappy and half-assed and like low budget and all that kind of stuff, and you look at them and you're like, oh, this could have been so good. Like, why? Like, why? So for some of the things I'm doing, I want to put that extra time in. I'm trying to be patient with myself. But it was very clear that it was time to step out and just start really living my life the way I keep envisioning my life. And I see that I can be a good speaker, and I can be like really in my heart center, and really like everyone I meet, I can just say the right thing to instead of the wrong thing to. But I got to practice. I mean, this all doesn't come to us overnight. Just like the center. I mean, there's no way the center is going to happen overnight. And you never know. Maybe I'll run into a billionaire tomorrow, and he'll donate $100 million for the center. That can happen. But what can't happen is it being built overnight. I mean, that would actually take a miracle and some magic. I mean, it would be a miracle to get the money, but it still takes time to build a physical center. So it just takes time. And baby steps, and being okay with ourselves, and being gentle with ourselves. And that's a big important part too, is just being gentle with ourselves and allowing ourselves to take our time, and allowing ourselves to even maybe get something wrong, and I don't like using the words wrong and mistake and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, they're in our language, it's part of our being. I don't even like being sorry, because for me, sorry means you did something wrong, and it's not about any of us doing anything wrong. We're all just doing the best we can. We're all just living our lives to the best of our abilities, and it's a little messy sometimes, but that's what makes it fun. if it was all perfect, if we were all perfect beings, I mean, and I either we're going to evolve to that, or we die, and wherever we are looking down, I think we're in a much more enlightened space between lives. We're going to look down, and like all this down here is what makes us smile and laugh. And you're like, oh, remember when like you said this or did this or whatever. But once we're all enlightened beings, like maybe it won't be any fun. I don't know, because we'll all be exactly the same, and we'll all know exactly what everybody else is thinking and feeling, and we'll all just be happy. It'll be a happy place, but but this is really where the magic's happening. Here and now. And it's funny because like throughout history, it's like everybody's always like, oh, it's such like the perfect time to be alive, and it's funny because we laugh. We look back, at people when they were like pulling teeth, by tying strings on the doorknobs, and cutting limbs off because they didn't have enough medicine. But at the time, it's always at the time that people think they're living in the best time and all the advancements. So it's funny that even, a couple hundred years from now, they're going to look back at us and be laughing and be like, oh, like they didn't even know, like they could talk to angels and their guides, and they only thought there was 9 dimensions, like who knows what they're going to look back and laugh on, But right now, all we have is the present moment, and all we have is our own feelings and beliefs and thoughts, and because you can never really you can't know what someone else is thinking and feeling. I mean, everybody in this room is having a different experience, even though you're hearing the same words, but some of you might pick up on certain words, and some of you might miss certain words. So everyone here is having their own experience of today, and you're all going to walk away with a different experience of today, and that's okay. And maybe some people even walk away being a little disappointed, but that's okay too, because we're all just on our own path, and we're getting somewhere, and we're getting somewhere together, whether we like it or not, and we're all in it together, whether we like it or not. So for me, it's important for those of us that are kind of ahead of the game, as I like to call it, and like to believe, that we're a little more conscious, and we're working on ourselves and stepping up. It's important for us to help the other people along. And I also learned the hard way that if they're not ready, you need to just wait till they're ready, because we all want to help people. That's the funny thing is, like, you get to this point when you're such a caring, loving person, like everybody you walk by, you want to pick them up and pull them along with you. And sometimes you're not, they're not ready for that. Sometimes where they are, if they're sitting in the mud, maybe they need to be there, because maybe there's something they're learning from that. Or for me, I know, it's funny because I grew up with such like a beautiful, loving family and very middle class and nice house and wonderful, loving parents and I had my brother and all that stuff and went to a good school and got a good job, have a good career. Like everything's good, and it's easy just to be like that, everything's good enough. Like why should I change? Why should I like cause all these waves by becoming spiritual and new age and whatever all that means, But for me, my biggest struggle is the complacency, is the good enough. So for me, good enough isn't good enough anymore. Like I want to live an amazing life. I want to live a miraculous life. I want there to be miracles every day. And there probably are, but I don't always see them. And that's a big key too, is we don't always see them, even if they're there, because we are the ones that need to open our eyes. And we do that by opening our hearts first. So I'm going to pause there because I need some notes. I want to actually touch on some of the other things that I wanted to talk about. Yeah, I wanted my brother. I wanted to say a little bit more about my brother. It's because he's an older brother. He's very successful, has his own company, and all that kind of stuff. And it's funny because I'm always kind of like the little brother, and fall into that kind of category and all that kind of stuff. And again, like I had mentioned, he's not really like big into all the spiritual kind of stuff, and always rolls his eyes if I like even just say the word spiritual, But even in that, and this has been like a really big gift and lesson to me, is that even someone that doesn't believe what I believe, like it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean they can't support me and love me and just being myself and doing what I want to do. And that's a really important thing, because what I really found when I really opened my eyes and looked at it wasn't that I wasn't getting the support out there from everybody. It's that I didn't really believe in myself enough to step up, and so it's easy to blame them and be like, oh, I don't get any support and they don't understand all that kind of stuff. But I wasn't in the right place yet, So and I wasn't allowing them the chance to really understand. And because I had fear about myself and really being myself, so did they. I mean, if I was completely solid in every belief that I have, there's nothing they could have done to sway that. But because there was so much fear in me about all this new stuff and because this isn't tangible. Intuition, like, I think I heard a voice. I mean, come on, like, and then people that are a little more in tune, like you're trying to discern energies. Oh, like this is the energy of angels, and this is the energy of my guides, and there's some tragedy that happened. I'm feeling that, but to our standards at the moment, our technology at the moment, it's not tangible. I believe that there will be technologies where you can actually measure energy better and emotions and things like that, and it's coming up. I mean, there's some of that technology out there, but I mean, like really solid technology, I think will eventually come. But for now, like what's really tangible about all this kind of stuff that we're getting into, and psychic stuff and mediums, and it's like some people that are mediums, like they see people that have passed on, like they literally see them with their eyes. But there's a lot of us that don't, so it's like it's hard to believe that somebody's actually seeing something that you don't see. But I think a lot more of that's going to change, and especially as we get into this new cycle and this new age of light, and we wake up to our gifts, a lot of us are going to start seeing more things, and we might all be seeing different things, who knows, and it's hard to convey, and it's hard to try to get other people to understand it, and especially when you're feeling things, like how do you verbalize an emotion that you're feeling? Like there's ways you can try to describe it, but it never really works, they really need to feel it themselves. But it's just, so it's new to all of us, and we all have to just help each other out and support each other and love each other. But for me, it's important for the masses to help them understand what we're learning to understand and help open the doorways to them, and not pull them in, it's up to them. They need to step through, but we, like the people here, have the power to open the door and say, just take a look, just take a look at my world, and just take one step through the door, and you can go back out if you want. It's okay, and just be gentle with the world and with everybody else, because it's not that they're that angry. It's just that they don't understand. We're all trying to get somewhere, and we're all not sure where it is. And it's easy to be afraid. And we've grown up with a lot of ridicule and a lot of criticism in a negative world. So it's easy to really be down on ourselves about it and hard on ourselves about it, which is tough because there's enough people out there that are hard on us. If we're hard on ourselves too, then we're really not going to get anywhere. So, start by loving yourselves, honoring yourselves, trusting your intuition, trusting the nudges. And, if people tell you can't do something, that's okay. They can have that belief. We don't have to get pulled into their world, And that goes back to what I was saying with, like when I was talking to like other friends that weren't spiritual and stuff, and they have all these conversations I don't really care about. It's, if I want to have a conversation about something that I like, well, why shouldn't I be the one to start it, Mm-hmm. And so same thing with all this kind of stuff going on with people that don't understand or aren't really into it. I need to now be the one to open the door for them or start a conversation about it, or at least help them see a new side to things, And they might completely reject that, and that's okay. And the trick is not taking it personally, And this is all stuff I'm working through. I mean, this is what I'm talking about. I haven't gotten through all this yet, I'm not trying to, And it's funny because I've, there's some people out there, some teachers and masters and stuff that are like, up here and looking down at everybody, and they're like, yeah, like I've already gone through it all. You guys need to catch up, So I hope I never get to that point. I hope I'm always right here with you guys, bringing you with me, and explaining what I'm going through as I'm going through it, because none of us are perfect. I have some friends that do like talks and things like that, and they end up putting themselves on such a pedestal and holding themselves to such high standards that they end up breaking down, And as an excuse, they're like, oh, well, everyone expects me to be perfect and do things right because like I'm the one organizing this event, so everything has to go right and it all falls on me. And yeah, that's your job, I mean, and that's what you're doing, and they might view you that way. But you're also human. Like it's okay to like, be afraid or be nervous, And it doesn't mean that like so you're putting an event together and maybe it's some huge deal and maybe your job is riding on it, but it's still okay to be a little afraid and nervous and admit that. Doesn't mean everything's going to fall apart. If you actually admit to the emotion, it might actually help you get through the day a little better, So what else I got here? So, let's see what else. Actually, I want to read. Well, it's not one of the new quotes that hit me that I love is it's not about being spiritual; it's about being human. And I talked a little bit about that before because there's still all these labels. So even like spiritual is still a label, But at the end of the day, we're human, So it's all just variations. Like we can talk about New Age and spiritual stuff and all that, and it's just gonna be more labels. So it's really just about honoring our feelings. And I want to. I made a couple notes. Hi to everybody watching online. I made a couple notes. I just want to read one or two little things here. Because I get these little intuitive flashes, and I get these great little quotes and things that come through that I'll usually post on Facebook or something. But so one of them was, "It's time to make the shift from following and even from leading away from separation and hierarchy into the humility of unity." So that actually I'm going to read it again because I like it. It's funny. I dropped my thing. I'm getting too excited. Wait, is that on it? There we go. This stuff, because this stuff just comes to me, and most of the people here, understand this. Like you guys just get things and you write it down, and you're like, wow, where did that come from, right? So some of this stuff, like, I don't even take any credit for it. I mean, most of the book that I wrote, I don't really take a lot of credit for. It just kind of comes through me. So it is time to make the shift away from following, even from leading, away from separation and hierarchy to the humility of unity. Thank you. So, and that goes right back to, because like I said, so some of these spiritual teachers, like they're like on these pedestals, and we can't even blame them, because they don't necessarily want to be on a pedestal. It's everyone else that puts them on the pedestal. And that's why, like, going into this new age, it's about us coming into our own power and believing in ourselves, and we can be that next guru, I mean, I don't even really want to use that term because I think it's just time for all of us to get to the same place, and that's why, like, I wrote it as not just following, but even from leading, because that's the duality is if you have a leader, it automatically means you have followers. You know, so I'm not here. I mean, I'm ready to step into whatever is coming, you know, and step up, and I'm not afraid to be in the light. And it's a great phrase. I'm not afraid to be in the light. I'm also not afraid to be in the limelight, you know, and be the guy that's out front, you know, being an advocate for peace on earth. I'm not afraid to step up, but I don't want to be a leader, and I don't need to be a leader, and because I don't want people following me, and I don't want people praising me. I want everybody right next to me, you know. Like that's where we need to go now. Like we need to line up and stand together. It's not about putting any one person above us or any one person below us. It's about getting there together. And that's really what this new age is that we're coming into. It's doing it together. Another thing here, let me see. Feel yourself welcoming the new light. Feel the love. Feel it surrounding you, embracing you, permeating you, filling you. Then realize, as it fills you from the inside out, that it is not an exterior light filling you, but your own light reaching out to meet the light of others and the light of the universe. I'll read that one again too, because I like it.
Go right ahead.
Feel yourself welcoming the new light. Feel the love. Feel it surrounding you, embracing you, permeating you, filling you. Then realize, as it fills you from the inside out, that it is not an exterior light filling you, but your own light reaching out to meet the light of others, the light of the universe.
I love that. It's great.
Thank you. Yeah, and so we're the ones setting the pace and holding the new light, you know, that's coming in and holding that vibration for other people. and there's a lot of people that want to get there. I mean, there's a lot of people. I think that's all I'm going to read from this. The rest of it's just kind of
A lot
notes.
of people are just getting started.
Yeah,
Such as myself.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that are because there's always levels, you know, to things. Because there's a lot of people that are just getting started. There's a lot of people that are still resisting, you know, and there's a lot of people that are just, you know, completely in it. But we all have to kind of help each other along. And again, that goes back to Awaken. I mean, this is why I'm doing this and sending this because I want the people that you know are a little more ahead of the game and that basically have more information and insight. You know, I want them to be able to share that with as many other people as they can. And I also want to make it affordable. I mean, that's the idea of this being a nonprofit too, is because it just gets expensive, you know. So let me see what else I have on here. Yeah, and okay. So just along the same lines with the whole like, you know, not leading and not following. Everything has its place, and I want to make that very clear, and it's really important. Everything has its place, so it's not about putting anything down. Because like even going into like this new world, you know, where we really need to trust ourselves, and Nancy had even mentioned, you know, it's time for us to be the gurus and only trust ourselves in our own light. I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for some of the books that I read, you know, and some of the other events I was at, and some of the other speakers that I've seen, you know. So that's really important. It's really important, but it's also important to realize that we have the knowledge inside us already inherently. You know, like this stuff, like that's great. Like it's funny because I mean I didn't write that; it wrote itself. I just typed it on a computer. You know, but I mean that message is just as much for me as it is for any of you. And it just comes through me because I've gotten to the place where I'm allowing myself to be open and to listen, and then to share. And the sharing is a big part of it. You know, if you're enlightened and you're keeping it to yourself, well, then you're not too enlightened. You know, so share it. Share your gifts. Share your understandings with the world because they're hungry. There's a lot of people out there that are hungry for this, that are interested, and they don't know where to go. Like, you know, people want to have conversations about, you know, angels and the afterlife and you know, intuitive, you know, gifts and all that kind of stuff and learn more about crystals and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, where do they go? Like a lot of people just don't understand, and they're afraid too. You know, it's funny. Like we're the ones that are into this stuff, and we're afraid to talk about it. Well, imagine everybody else. You know, they're not really into this, so they're really afraid to talk about it and to ask the questions about it because they don't want to sound crazy. You know, and it's funny because the girl that got me into all this, like I met her at a wedding, and the more she told me, like she was kind of just waiting for the line, like me to just be like, "You're crazy," and walk away. But the more she talked, the more I was interested and the more I wanted to hear. And I'm like, yeah, you're talking to the right guy. Like, keep going, you know? But you never know. You never know when, you know, like by you opening that door, you're going to completely change somebody's life, you know? And again, they still have to walk through it. You know, it's still up to them, but we help. We help them along the way. And all these books and stuff. And it's funny because like I'm writing these books, so I don't want to say like no, don't ever read another book. You know, I want somebody to read mine. Right? But they have their place because there's always somebody that's just coming up, and they need the support of other speakers and other books and other meditation seeds and stuff. Like for me, I'm kind of getting tired of it. It's too much. You know, it's like there's so much material out there. It's overwhelming, and it's not. It's all great material, but it's just a lot of the same thing about, you know, it's like just a different way to meditate and a different way to you know, help heal your wounds and stuff. And it's all good. But even within that, we still need to tune into ourselves because there's so much information out there. We need to really tune in and decide what's right for us at the right time. And the timing is important too, because somebody might, like, you know, give you a meditation or something, you know, and maybe you're just not ready for it, you know, and maybe in another 2 months it will be the perfect thing for you, you know. And it's also just not about judging anything either, because just because there's like, you know, 5 new people that like someone told me to look into, or like 3 other books to read, just because I don't want to, I mean, like that's necessarily not a rejection, you know. It's just what's right for us in the moment, in time, you know. And we are the ones that have to tune into that and decide what that is. So I think I'm probably going to stop talking now. It's about 20 after 4. Do you guys want to do another little meditation? I think we should do that.
Sure.
Let's do a little meditation, and then I'll move on. So let's get comfortable. And actually, Val, since you moved, do you want to do a little drumming behind my meditation?
You like the melodic drum?
Yeah, that sounds good. Why not? Right, a little soundtrack. All right, so while she's getting ready, everybody just close your eyes and relax and kind of sink into your chair. And just take a couple deep breaths. Just ease into your body, ease into your chair, ease into your being. Feel yourself. And then just from your heart, see a red cord shooting down into the earth. And it knows where to go. Just have it go right to the center, and Mother Earth's going to bring up some of her beautiful energy back up into your being, and it's going to come right up into your heart. And we're going to send a silver cord up through the galactic center and up into the unknown, to the highest dimension, to the highest vibration of love. And that love is going to come back down through our head and right into our heart, fill our being. So our heart's just filled with this beautiful, loving energy, Mother Earth and Father Creator. And just let that sit there for a little bit. And see it in your heart. See it as a bubble, as a magenta bubble. In your heart, see it growing and stretching out. And let it fill your being. And let it fill this room. And let it fill this whole world. And send it out. Send it out as big as you can. Go past the Earth. Go past the world. Send it out into all space. Past the solar system. Past the galaxy. Into all that is. And let your love just permeate everything. And then bring it back in. And let everything else come back in and be a part of your heart. Because we're all one. We're all connected. Take a deep breath and breathe that in. All right, I'm going to want to do a little exercise with you guys. So again, today is about the end of one cycle and the beginning of another, the beginning of a new way of living, a new age. So what I want you to do is think about your life up to this point, and specifically because we want to hold on to the joy and the happiness, but the other stuff we don't really need anymore. So everything that's happened up to this point in your life, feelings that you have that you don't want anymore, that you don't like, start gathering them and feel them. Allow yourself to feel them in your body. Times that you felt alone, times that you felt rejected, ridiculed, criticized, people were angry at you, or that you were angry at others. Take all those emotions that you don't really like, see them forming in front of you, in a ball in front of you, and put them all in there. And I'll give you a moment to and dig deep and pull up those emotions that you don't like. And they can be from childhood, they can be from traumas, they can be from verbal abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, anything you've gone through. Or it can be as simple as just an argument with somebody. But bring them up for me and form them in front of you in a bubble, and we're going to wrap them in that same magenta light that came from your heart a minute ago. You see it form around it, so it's like a balloon, and the balloon has a string that's attached to our heart. All right, so because these were our emotions that were inside of us, so let all those emotions come up, the ones that we usually don't like feeling, feelings of alone, of rejection, of fear, of hate. Let them come up. Let them come out of your being. Let them draw them out of your cells and put them into this pink bubble in front of you. And it's still attached, so your emotions are coming out of your body, traveling up the cord to the balloon. And then what I want you to do is pretend that you're cupping that balloon, put your hands around it, and thank it. Because all those emotions, even though we didn't like them, that's who we are, that's who we've been, and it's what got us to this point. And there's reasons for everything. Sometimes it's the emotions we don't like. Sometimes it is that fear and that pain that propels us to change and to be better and to want more love for ourselves. So thank all those emotions for being here with us, for being a part of us. And then I want you to cut that cord and let that balloon float away. And send it off. And send it off with love. That was all part of you. And it's perfectly fine that it was part of you up to this point. But we don't need it anymore. We're moving forward into a new light and a new world. And we want to greet that world with love and with peace. And we want to let go of the things that no longer belong in that world or belong as part of us. Or I won't even say belong, just we want to let go of the things that we don't want to hold on to anymore. So we're letting them go. And if you need to do that more than once, then go ahead. If there's still something inside you, fill up another bubble, another balloon, and then cut that, let that go too, and let it float away. Let it float away. And the universe will take care of it. It's all one. It'll find a place for it. Mother Earth and the universe knows that we don't need to hold on to these. We can give them away. The universe will transmute it into a new energy. So let it go. Free yourself. Take a deep breath. And allow yourself to let that go. One of the things I've found is sometimes we let things go, and for some reason we bring them right back. Either we're not ready or we're afraid of letting it go. So trust that the things that we're letting go of now are okay to let go of, and that we're okay without them, that we're okay to move on, that it's safe to be loved and to love and to find that peace that we've been looking for. And we can do it without all those pains anymore. We can release all that heartache and open ourselves up. This is a new time, it's a new energy. The universe is literally aligning and sending us into an age of light. And we're all opening up, we all feel it. And we all just need to let go of everything we've held on to get there. And anytime you want to do this exercise, anytime anything comes up, use this as a tool for you to let it go. And always thank it for being there, being a part of you. And then release it. Take another deep breath. Now, thank the universe. Be grateful for this time that we're in, for the light that we're moving into, that we're becoming. Allow it to come down and fill your being, and allow your light to shine out and meet it. Realize that it's time to step out into truth, to who we really are, and to do so gently, and to not let fear be what's holding us back. Acknowledge the fear, and then step anyway. Letting our own light shine out of our own bodies, just shine past us. Sometimes we need to take baby steps, trying to illuminate the whole world at once is a big task. We don't need to go that far. All we need to do is illuminate the next step in front of us. So allow your light to shine and create a sphere around you so that you can see that next step and not be afraid to take it. New age, just put the intent out there. Ask your guides just to be with you and help you. Ask your angels, ask your loved ones, ask your higher self, ask God or Jesus or whoever you resonate with, or ask them all. I usually just tell them all, let's go. Ask them all just to be with you, to help you, to encourage you, to support you, to love you, and to let you know that they're here with you on this journey, and that when you're in doubt, ask them to give them permission now to show up later when you need them most, that you don't necessarily have to call them, that they're always just there for you, and you know it. Just know that they're always there for you. And just hold that intent for a moment to step forward in peace, in love, in understanding of yourself and others, so we can all get to this new world, this new age of light together. And get there in this lifetime. Why not? Let's do it now. Let's stop waiting. Let's stop waiting for someone else to tell us how to get there. Trust ourselves and our guides will know the way, and we'll light our own way. And just come back into your own being, into your own body. Take another deep breath and feel your physical body, feel your lungs expanding. And just open your eyes when you're ready. Pretty good, right? That was my first guided meditation too. You guys believe that?
Nice. Great. Good job.
So, thanks.
That was a good concept with the balloon, cutting it, giving it love, and letting it go. It's a good visualization.
Yeah, thank you.
Very helpful.
Yeah, that came to me this morning. So, and again, I mean, just me myself. I mean, I've just really been honoring myself and allowing myself to receive, and not push things aside, So this visual of the balloon came to me like either yesterday or this morning or something.
Nice with the red cord.
And I realized like, oh, this is something to share. Again, share.
Yeah.
Especially with those that will receive. So that's good. So okay, so that's me. Thank you.
Thank you.